Powered by nuclear energy.
Hi, this is DJ Mondo, and welcome to the Atomic Luau, and welcome to another episode of SketchLab. This is episode 12 of SketchLab, and if you have been following along, you know that SketchLab is kind of a little sub-show that I do on the Atomic Luau, where I kind of showcase some of the artwork that I do, because people ask me who does the artwork for my my social media sites, and I do that artwork, and I'm a big fan of classic style comic book art, particularly of classic comic book artists like Jack Kirby. And if you've been following along, season 1, I'm doing an homage to Jack Kirby's first issue of The Incredible Hulk. I'm doing a mock-up of that, but I'm replacing, of course, the characters that were in the original cover with Bruce Banner and the Hulk, essentially replacing them with my character, DJ Mondo, and his robot gorilla companion, Dr. Sim. And I'm going to jump into that in a few minutes here, but I wanted to go real quick here to kind of give people a kind of a background of my art here and some of the opinions that I used to have. I was reminded by somebody the other day that I was talking to that I had some interesting opinions with regard to digital art back when I was younger. This was before. This was pre-internet and almost pre-home computers and some of the things that we used to have that we have now that we kind of take for granted. But I had some really odd opinions for digital art when I was younger. I'm kind of classically trained in art, life drawing and figure drawing classes and stuff, drawing with charcoal and pastels and paints and stuff like that. That's how I learned my art. But digital art was new to me. As a matter of fact, I'm not formally trained in digital art. I had to teach myself that over the years. The school that I went to for art actually got a digital art program the year after I left. So that was that's pretty ironic. So it tells you what I know about digital art. I had to teach myself that over the years. But I actually remember some things that I said. I just want to point out a couple of things that I actually said about digital art years ago. And I not just said, but I argued these points with some people. Back in the 1980s, and I guess I'm kind of dating myself here, about there was a comic book that came out called, I think it was called Shatter, and it was a kind of a futuristic story about detectives or something like that. I remember that comic book coming out. I don't have a copy of it. I got a lot of comic books from that era, but I don't have a copy of that. But Shatter, the thing about Shatter was that it was one of the first digital comic books. It was made completely on computer. It was actually drawn in Mac Paint or something like that, years ago, and there was no pen to paper, no pen put to paper or ink or anything like that. It was just drawn straight on a comic book. And I remember a couple of the guys in school that I had got a copy of Shatter, and I really wasn't too impressed by the artwork because I was more impressed with the inkers and stuff at Marvel and things like that. But when I saw this art, I wasn't really impressed with the artwork, and I actually made the argument that making comic books on a computer will never catch on. We will never use computers to make artwork. Mark my words, this is never going to come on. It's a passing fad. We're never going to do this. Do you understand? Comic books have to be made by a team of people who do art on paper and do the color separations and all that stuff. It's going to be made, it's all going to be done manually, and then they're going to use it to make printing plates and stuff like that. This is never going to happen, that we're going to make comic books on computer. This will never catch on. So thanks but no thanks, Shatter. This is never going to happen. Anyway, a couple of years later, when I bought a computer and a scanner and I started trying to make digital art, and actually trying to get a job at a color lab that was one of the first labs to work with in Photoshop, was right here in Chicago. I never got but they were actually doing, I think they were doing jobs for Marvel Comics, and I was desperate to get in there and start using Photoshop, but I never got hired. But anyway, years later, when I got my own computer and started doing some artwork, I was doing my drawings on paper and drawing them and inking them on paper. And a friend of mine who was visiting me, his name was Mark, I'll never forget him. He asked me, why can't you just draw on the computer? That way you don't have to draw on paper and scan this. And actually, in order to get it in there, so you can get it in Photoshop and try to put your colors and tones and stuff on it. And I'm like, Mark, don't be ridiculous. You can't draw on a computer. You got a mouse, and only a complete maniac would try to use that to actually draw on the computer. And that's never going to happen. There's never going to be a time when you're going to actually draw on a computer in order to get that artwork in there. You have to buy a stack of paper. You got to draw it on there. Then you got to ink that paper. You got to get a $300 scanner and a $300 flatbed scanner to scan that artwork in order to get it in there, so that you can use your $400 copy of Photoshop in order to color it. It's just never going to happen. What you're talking about is completely impractical, drawing on something. And you can't even draw on the screen. It might make a difference if you could actually draw on a screen of some kind, but that's never going to happen. Anyway, a couple of years later, I got an iPad, and the reason I got the iPad was because you could actually draw straight on it. And so, from the perspective of a guy who grew up in the 80s, dumb things I said about digital art, making comics on computer will never catch on, and you can't draw on a computer. And I was completely right about those things up until the time I was wrong. So just so you guys know a bit of background about me, these are the dumb things that I said about digital art. And I guess since I'm never going to live it down anyway, I guess I'll just go ahead and put it on the internet. So enjoy. Anyway, let's get back to the drawing. And let's get back into Procreate, into the Procreate gallery. Text in the gallery. And let's go back into our previous drawing. Where was it here? Oh, there we are. And Incredible Hulk. Is he man or monster or both? And where did we leave off? We left off with DJ Mondo here. We were putting highlights on DJ Mondo. Last I saw. There we go. There's his group cluster right there. And again, let's go real quick through the group clusters before we actually start working here. I'm going to turn off DJ Mondo for a second here and work from the top down. There are our extremely rough logos at the top there. We're going to fill those in. I may actually import logos from another project that I did for that. But again, we can leave that for now. There's the DJ booth. Now you're going to notice something here. If you've been following along, you haven't seen that Atomic Luau logo. I'm going to zoom in on that. That Atomic Luau logo is going to be critical here under the DJ booth group, because I'm going to actually put that on the front of the DJ booth here. I've imported that from another project here. Speaking of importing from another project, but that's going to come in handy later on. But again, let's turn it off for now. And let's go into Mondo himself. As you remember, that's where we left off. We'll come back to that. And there is Dr. Sim and his on all his glory there. I'm going to work into Dr. Sim again. I'm going to come back in and put some more blue highlights on the right side of the drawing here, because I think I'm going to represent some secondary lighting that's going to be off to the right here. So I'll come back to that. There's the crowd scene, which I think I'm going to import a photo reference for, and do some discoloring on that. And then, of course, there's our layer with the reference material in it. So let's go back to, all right, save the day. Thank you, undo. Yep, we didn't want those merged. Okay, all right, so let's go back into DJ Mondo. And I'm going to go ahead and start the timer. Give it about 30 minutes here, because I don't want this to run long. You don't want to watch a guy doing a 3-hour drawing, so I'm just going to give it to you in 30-minute bits here. Timer is started. All right, so let's go back into DJ Mondo. I'm going to go ahead and continue with the highlights on DJ Mondo, with the blue highlights, which I believe are in this layer here. There we go. Those are the ones, so let's work in that layer. I'm going to select some more color from here. And it's kind of hard to see where the edge lies here. And what pen do we have here? We got our studio pen working in this layer, this highlight layer. And let's do the side of his pecs right there. There we go. Maybe a little on this edge here. I want to overdo it here on his side here. But hell, why not? It's a rave party, and I'm sure he's got a whole lot of lights going here. Don't really overdo the shirt, because the shirt has blue stripes as well, so I'm going to take it easy on that. Go. Working in there, and I don't think I want to overdo it here. There's going to be some blue highlights on his blue stripes on his boots. So again, that's where that secondary light is coming from, on the right side here. And I'm just going to be kind of liberal with it, so that's fine. And again, if I wanted to animate the flashing lights here, I could kind of do that, which that would make him appear to be animated. Okay, let's put a little edge here, because he's got his biceps are coming up here, and that secondary lighting is kind of coming from his left side and from behind him as well, so that's why you'll see it there. All right, let's not overdo it. If I need to kind of define the edges, if he's kind of against a darker background, maybe I'll try to define the edges a little bit more, but I'm going to leave that for now. Like I said, there are some stripes that are going to be on his shirt and also on his boots, but I'm going to hold off on those for the moment. And I think I'm going to go back and work on Dr. Sim and put those same kind of blue highlights on him, so that you'll know that he's in the same environment here. So let's move back here, do that, and again we want to cheat by creating another layer here just for those highlights. So I'm going to add another layer over Dr. Sim's color layer, and I'm going to turn DJ Mondo off for a moment here. So let's go here, work in this layer, and what I may have to do here, since these are going to be highlights on the edge, I may have to go in and erase some of the shadow layer that's going to be on Dr. Sim here. But that shouldn't be a problem. And so, for example, what I was doing here, we still got that, got this in this layer. Actually, I think I better do the erasing first. So let's go do this, go into the shadow layer here, because you'll see the difference once it's erased here. See that? There we go. So let's do this edge and this. Let's get that shadow out of there, and that'll leave room for the highlight on the edge here. Same for under his arm, because I'm going to put some here and here. I'm not going to work into that, but I am going to put some here and here and maybe here. And maybe the barest minimum right there. All right, now let's get in our highlight layer. Go back to the pen, back to the studio pen, and draw that in. I guess we can thicken up that pen a little bit. So now he's going to have similar edge highlights like DJ Mondo here. I should probably put some in there, but no, I don't want to work too deep into that. But let's give him some under the arms. And rounding this pec muscle here. That's kind of, I'm going to have to clean that up a bit. And maybe a bit on this edge here. So there we go. That makes it look a little bit more solid, that he's got some edge. It'll make him pop from the background a little bit, just like his face kind of pops from the background as well. I'm going to work into his hair as well, so because he's the hair on his face as well. He could stand a little bit more highlight here. So there we are. We also should put some here on this edge. I don't know, maybe if I should brighten that up a little bit. Okay, great. Maybe thicken that up. Let's go back into the shadow layer and get that, and touch this up a bit here. Get that edge out of there. And, I don't know, maybe make this a little bit wider here. I'm going to try something a little bit, experiment a bit with this under edge here. No, I don't think it should go that far. Let's not do that. Still in the studio pen. Let's. Oh, wrong layer. Wrong layer, everybody. There we go. Check your layers before you start putting them down. Alright, and again, erase out your blacks. There we go. Let's go back into this layer. And highlight this. Are we looking on time? This edge here. There we go. Should I? And you got the option of maybe putting more highlights on the other side. You know, you don't want to overdo it, but you know what? I'm at the point where I really don't care. I like putting in highlights. So let's put in some extra highlights on this side. Again, it'll only serve to make that arm pop out a little bit from the background. Just again, make sure you're working in the right layer. I keep going back and forth here between layers. You really need to be careful when you're working in those layers to make sure that you're in the correct layer. Otherwise, you can do yourself some damage, and it will take several undos to get you back to where you were. And actually, let's do this here because that armored bicep kind of pops up a little bit, and then I can go back here and erase that part out. There we go. So let's go back in. And hey, why not all the way down? Okay, great. All right, and again, you know, there's that lighting effect that we can kind of turn on and off. It's nice. It looks like neon lighting. Either that or there's a police car nearby waiting to kind of pick them up. So in case the party gets out of hand. Let's put a little more highlight under the crotch here, and like that, and here. I'll come back in with the eraser for the shadow layer in a second, and a little bit here. Yeah, because why not? All right, shadow, back in, erase, 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 erase. There we go. All right. No, flicking the shadow layer on and off. Let's go back in here. There we go. All right. Yeah, those are going to make good highlights there. All right. And of course he's going to have some racing stripes added to his armor as well. There's sometimes I put white stripes on the armor, which should look pretty good. I didn't want to, and probably put that in its own layer under the shadow layer. So that should help. I'm not going to merge them. I'm not going to merge the layers down just yet, but that should work. All right. So as a matter of fact, let's get that started. And I'm just gonna have fun putting the racing stripes on here. Let's put those on in their own layer. I'm gonna add another layer here and switch to the color to just pure white, and just kind of see what works. Again, working in its own layer here. I can, if I make a mistake or something, I can just go ahead and throw the whole layer away and start again. So for example, I did leave an ink line for the white lines that are going to be on his arms here. So since this layer is going to be above the regular color layer but below the shadow layer, anytime we cross over into shadow territory, you can see that there's going to be a shadow on that line there. So, and we can undo that. There we go. So what kind of stripes are we going to put here? You know what? Let's just do something weird. Like this. Oh, that's an eraser. Sorry. Let's thicken that line up a little bit. It's thick. And then here goes down across his chest and then under his arm. And yeah, I change up the racing stripes once in a while. They don't always look the same from drawing to drawing. I'll settle on one day, but I'm not under any kind of deadline, and I'm not working for any studio, so I can make it look however I want right now. I think that looks pretty good. Yeah, speed. Okay. I usually edge this part right here. There we go. Under there. Sometimes we shall we give him, I think we should give this an edge as well. More racing stripes. And maybe we'll give these some edging around there. Yeah, there we go. Good job. All right. And let's do something similar on this side. Again, give his shoulder pad there something interesting to look at. And then some stripes around his field emitters. think I'm going outside the lines, which is a no-no when you're 6 years old. I'm going for speed here, not it doesn't have to be perfect. Speed, not perfection. See how much we can do in a half hour. Oh, yeah, looks nice. See, that would make a good pop-out like poster piece or something for a t-shirt or something like that, you know. Yeah, it looks like he looks more like a race car driver. I think he's got that kind of racing stripe kind of look here, which I like that. Alright, let's do some edging around his knees. There we go. More stripes there. And maybe around these calf muscle type things here. There we go. And there's usually a stripe on top of his simian feet here. There we go. Doesn't have to be pretty. Nice. He still looks a little barren around the... Yeah, I'm only going to do that stripe on one side. I like that uneven asymmetrical look of his chest is good. And let's do something in here. Excellent. Okay, great. All right, starting to come together. I think we're going to do more. I'm going to try to do more with the glows that are coming, the glow that's coming off of his two atomic pylons on his back there. But I like how this is working so far. All right, and again, all in that layer. I'm not going to merge this down just yet. Let's just leave it there and see, and let's see if we can get a feel for it. What can we do to his hair? We do need to eventually work into his hair. He should have some blue highlights on the side of his hair. Let's actually go back into the blue highlight area again and select that blue. Go in here. I'm just kind of playing this by ear. Let's get studio pen and just take it down a little bit. We should seeing some. It's not. Oh, it's not on top of the. This is going to be on top of the inking layer. All right, so let's do it. Let's create another. Let's create another layer and go into. That line is a little too thick. How thin can we get it? I don't know if I like that color against that blue background there, but again, it's in its own layer. We can throw it out if we absolutely need to. How are we going to handle this down here? Don't like that. It goes too far. There we go. Okay, not too bad. Not too bad. Don't want to overdo it on this side here. Again, hit this right here. There we go. I'll make his face pop out a little bit more. Don't know if I like this edge up here, but you know what? So what? That's fine. Okay, cool. Yeah, he's shaping up pretty good. What else do we need? Let's go back into this highlight section and give him some edge to this face here. There you go. He needs some serious highlights in his eyes to make those just about stand out. I'm going to put one really bright highlight on this side of his eye and call it quits. If I do too much, it'll ruin it. Did too much, ruined it. It's just in his left eye. All right. There we go. Dr. Sim's working out pretty good. I like it. We need some more highlights. Definitely. What's this? Come in here. Let's go and highlight that. Probably have more on this side, and don't think we should put one on the right shoulder. Hell, why not? All right, there we go. Look at our time. All right, a few more minutes here. All right, looks good. I like it. I like it. And again, this is the sort of drawing that I can pop out and use standalone, you know, on its own for, you know, for another piece of artwork like a poster or a t-shirt or something like that. I would like a t-shirt with this one on it. So, yes, it looks pretty good. All right. What layer am I in? All right, let's put another mild highlight here and hope that it's not too much. I don't know, that looks a little odd. Yeah, might have just left that orange. As a matter of fact, let's leave it orange. Yeah, because it does look a little odd. It looks like the symbol is popping off of his chest, is breaking off of his chest, and which would cause a radiation leak. So, how about this? And again, back in with an eraser on that to highlight that. Okay. All right. I think that's going to do it for that. May work some more into his abs a little bit, but I like the way this is shaping up. And good job with the racing stripe. All right. All right, so and this is the first time that we've worked above the ink layer by putting those highlights in his hair, and I'm actually working above the layer that I was inking in, that's above the black ink layer. So, which is necessary, of course, because I'm going to have some stuff on top of that as well. Same with DJ Mondo. He's got a insignia on his chest that's going to be above that layer, and the stripes on his clothes are going to be similar. So it should work out fine. All right. So what else have we got here? Let's leave that for now. And actually, we should probably work on putting some glowing or some effect. Oops. All right, and that's time. All right, so let's see what we've got here. I like to run back do a video playback of all of the strokes that we've done so far at the end of the drawing. Here's where we left off. We left off on Dr. Sim's highlights and racing stripes. And let's go ahead and run the video back and do the time-lapse replay. And there it goes. Rough sketches. These time-lapse replays, of course, are getting longer and longer every time we do them. I think they're over 4 minutes now, but no matter. We can see how we got here from there. Like I said about the, I did import an image to use on the DJ booth once we get to coloring the DJ booth. I'm going to put that image on the front of the DJ booth so everybody knows it's the Atomic Luau. Rough strokes for Dr. Sim. And again, nowhere near perfect, extremely rough. His legs were different sizes. We overcame that later on. The real dilemma that I was thinking about today is I've got to make some progress on the logos that are going to be at the top, the title that's going to be up at the top there. And so I'm going to make some, see if I can make some progress on that next time. Again, may even import an image from a previous project to use for that logo. But if this is going to be a true homage, I need to recreate the logo so that it's similar to the one on the Incredible Hulk comic book cover there. And I'm definitely going to do those inset word balloons there, because we've got to alert the reader to all of the excitement that's going to be inside of this comic book here. So again, DJ booth, DJ equipment, sketch that in. All of the sizes here are relative. As long as everything is in their own layer groups, as long as each element is in its own layer group, you can resize all of the elements within the group to fit. So nothing here is exactly the size that is going to be at the final. I can move or rescale or resize anything here. So and that's the beauty of Procreate now that they have layer groups, so that so each element that you work in has got its own group. You can resize the entire layer without breaking up the set or breaking the scale of the elements within it. Inking. I probably should come in with thicker ink. Again, if this is a true Jack Kirby homage, then you should really have a lot of thick lines in there. Jack Kirby loved his thick lines. And again, working into DJ Mondo there, inking. A lot of turning on and off of layers, but hey, that's what I do. That's how I draw. It's probably not the most efficient way that I draw. You'll see other artists who are you know, who have their layers all planned out before they even started drawing. Me, I don't even care. You know, I'll add them as I go, as I need them, but I'm nowhere near that organized. Down, base flats, flat color. And use your ink layer as your reference layer, of course, when you're using those paint buckets. Put that gray background there so you'll know which items need to have a white base, like those chrome bolts that are at his shoulders and his elbows and his knees. Put in your shadow layer on its own. Highlights. And again, base flats on DJ Mondo. Belt, chrome bracelets, chrome on his boots. And put in his highlights. And reshape him. Secondary lighting highlights. And I think you saw for a second there where I imported that that Atomic Luau logo. That's going to be on the DJ booth once we start working on that. Racing stripes and highlights, and I think we are done. Yeah, our playback is over 5 minutes now. I may skip the playback, the stroke playback in future episodes, but you know what? So what? I like seeing how we got here from there. So this is where we left off. That's how Dr. Sim is going to look. There may be a little bit more touch-ups to him, but I'll go back and work into DJ Mondo in the next episode. And I'm going to go ahead and leave it from here. Thanks for watching, everybody. Again, this was episode 12 of season 1 of SketchLab. I don't know what season 2 is going to be, but I'm having fun with this so far. Always remember, like I've said in the past, they're never going to use computers to make comics. You're never going to be able to draw directly on a computer of any kind. I said those things, and they are completely incorrect. So that's what my opinion is worth, and that's what my foresight is worth. So anyway, have fun with drawing, and keep watching. Check me out on DJMondosRave.com. There's links to all of my social media sites there, and you're going to check this out on YouTube. I may post some things on Twitch as well. I'm thinking about doing some gaming for Twitch. I've been pretty good at this robot fighting game, so I may actually do some gaming on Twitch as well, so you guys can see what I'm doing there. But let me know if you do any drawing yourself, and if I'd like to see it, send it to me. The email address, djmondo@djmondosrave.com. Check out djmondosrave.com for links to all my social media sites and to Instagram. You can see more of my artwork on Instagram, and you can see more of my music videos and stuff on YouTube. Keep drawing and keep reading comics, and yeah, see you here next week, hopefully. Thanks. Bye.